Hey there, it's Melissa Capillari with Coldwell Banker, and I just wanted to address 3 questions that I've been getting from clients a lot lately in case that might be helpful for you too. So question number 1 has been, are foreclosures going to be the story of the day in 2021? Question number 2 is, are rates going to skyrocket this year? And question number 3 is, should we hold off on purchasing a home and or relocating until the market cools off a little bit and prices come down? So I don't have a crystal ball, but I do have research. So I'd like to give you some basic facts so you can make the best decision possible for you. So question number 1, are foreclosures going to be the story of the day? I really don't think so. So if you look at this chart, this shows that the number of foreclosures are at an all-time low, especially as compared to the 08, 07, 09 years when we were in a true housing bubble. The Q4 numbers at the tail end of 2020, even after a global pandemic, are at an all-time low. Now you might argue, well, that's just because people were getting stimulus money and they were collecting unemployment, so that kind of kept them through. And what happens when that runs out? Well, even then, while we're at an all-time low on foreclosures, we're also at an all-time high in homeowner equity. So the average homeowner right now has $24,000 more in equity today than they had 1 year ago because of appreciation. Now, with that kind of built-in equity, it's hard to imagine that even if you fell on hard times, you wouldn't be able to liquidate that asset amidst this very limited housing inventory before you had to suffer a foreclosure. Question number 2, are rates going to skyrocket? Well, while there is reason to believe that with the recent uptick in the 10-year Treasury, we may have seen rates bottom out. They might have hit their all-time low. We expect those to stay in the 3s. They're still historically low, and here's the evidence for that. So with that uptick in the 10-year Treasury, we also see a huge uptick in government spending. Now, historically speaking, as the national debt increases, interest rates decrease. And that's actually the case all over the world. So we think that rates are probably going to be stabilized in those historic lows for quite some time. Now, you might say, well, yeah, but even if they go up a little bit, I'm still spending more than I wanted to. Okay, fine, but we're still historically low. And if you're working with a mortgage professional that's really good, if you look at this trending line, rates bounce up and down every month, every day, sometimes twice a day. So a good mortgage professional is going to know the nuances of that, know your situation, and lock in at the best time possible to reach your goal. So if you need somebody great, call me. I will refer you to one of the great people to give me all this information, okay? Rates, I feel like, are going to be okay. Number 3, should we wait to buy a house and or relocate until the market cools off? Here again, really, no. If you've heard that old adage, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago and the next best time is now, holds true right now for home values, and there's some really good evidence here to support that. The biggest story of this is just simply supply and demand. If we compare to those 07, 08 numbers, we have less than a third of the number of homes in inventory than we had then, and we have twice the number of buyers as we have houses to accommodate them. Now, if you compare that with the fact that home starts stopped last year, builders stopped building for almost the whole of 2020. As you can see on the far right, just when home builders had almost caught up to balance out this market, the pandemic hit. We can't make up for a whole year of building overnight. At the same time, building costs are up. So from the softwood lumber to the plywood to the gypsum for the drywall, it costs more to build, which is not going to help things move quickly. Now, I'll end with one of the most compelling pieces of evidence that I've seen. One of the things we do when we look at home sales is try to figure out who's buying them. Well, the average home buyer is 33 years old, and that's been the case for quite a long time. They're often first-time buyers. Well, if we look at that housing bubble from 06, 07, 08, we backdate 33 years from then, we try to figure out, well, what was happening? Were we seeing a lot of people being born that were going to be that 33-year-old buyer 33 years later? Well, interestingly, 33 years prior to that bubble, Roe versus Wade happened. This is what legalized abortion, meaning those buyers for 33 years later weren't being born. And as a result, we had very few buyers and a lot of houses back in 08. Conversely, if we look at 2021 and we backdate that 33 years, what we see is a little further to the right in the early 90s, our 33-year-olds today were being born. And we saw an increase in births year after year for 5 years. They're hitting the market now, and they will continue to hit for the next 4 years to come. Those 33-year-olds are coming onto the market this year and next year and the year after, and that's going to create a sustainable, busy housing boom for the years to come. Don't know how long it'll last, but I can tell you if I'm wanting to buy a house, I'm not going to want to wait until that train stops. I'm probably going to want to plant that tree today. So I hope this wasn't too much for you guys. I know it was a lot of charts, but I hope it was helpful. If you have further questions or you'd like detailed information specific to your situation, please call me. I'm happy to break it down and help you figure things out. My number is 219-863-3465, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.